Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Hoping everybody had a great Easter, the Feast of First Roots. This is from April 13th, 2020. It's the Daily American. It says Nation's Health, your one-stop portal for the news you need. I doubt that, because it's attached to the USA Today. Well, let's see what they say. Immediate immunity, next step to opening country. Antibody testing may provide crucial data. So pretty much, obviously Fauci, the deep state operative, he said as we get to the point of at least considering opening up the country, as it were, it's very important to appreciate the understanding of how much this virus is penetrating this society, he said. Let's say it for what it is. Fauci, back in 2017, you said that the Trump administration was going to have to deal with an outbreak or a pandemic. You knew it was happening. You're garbage. We know you're garbage. We know who you worked for. We know who you work with. You're probably on the payroll of the WHO and the CCP. So, and then it says here, stress shortages push nation's nurses to brink. Okay, well, here's another idea, folks. Maybe you shouldn't have let all the fucking manufacturing go to China. Retards. You don't... Listen. You've got 320 million people here. And at least 30 million of people that don't belong. And you gave all the manufacturing for all this stuff to China. I saw a video on the Twitters last Friday from a French hospital that just received personal protective equipment from China. And as they put on the damn robes, they fell apart. I don't want that shit in my country. I am willing to pay a little extra money for parts and equipment made right here in the good old United States of America by my fellow Americans who have a vested interest in my country. This here says they're hospitals. We are trying to preserve the PPE we have. Well, unfortunately, your former garbage administrations, from Bush Sr. to Clinton to Bush Jr. to this last abomination, wanted everything made in China. You know, you've got people out there saying, well, you know, Trump went bankrupt in Atlantic City. 1,500 people lost their jobs. Okay. Yeah, they did. You know what else is funny? Those people got pensions. They got benefits. They got unemployment paid for 3 years. What happened to those folks in the middle of the country when all those steel mills went overseas? And all those coal jobs got shut down? Oh, that's right. 450,000 people were put out of business, out of work, and half of those people died from pill addictions or heroin. We don't want to talk about that because you might offend somebody. Fuck you. So there's that. This is not child friendly. There's another story here by Kevin Johnson. Virus tears through prisons. Workers and inmates at risk. Well, here's an idea. You wouldn't be in fucking prison if you didn't break the fucking law. But you broke the law. Oh, well, you know, it wasn't their fault. Bullshit. If you don't know the big difference between right and wrong, what are you doing outside of a mental institution? Oh, wait, I know what you're doing outside of a mental institution. Because somebody thought it was good to tell old Ronnie Boy that we should shut down all the mental institutions back in the 80s. There's a good fucking idea. Brain fucking dead. We're brain dead. It's amazing how brain dead we are. We are in serious trouble here, folks, and no one wants to talk about it. The highlight in this one for the the stress and shortages push nation's nurses to the brink. You're a fucking nurse, dude. You chose a position. That's like these cops that, like, they want me to like, you know, praise them for being a cop. You chose to be a cop. No one held a gun to your head and said, "You're gonna be a fucking cop." No one said that to you. You chose to go into law enforcement. You know what you're gonna deal with. And if you didn't want that, you should have done that. Okay? If you didn't want that, you should have done that. You should have been a tire guy or a manager at Home Depot or a cashier. You could have chose anything. You live in the United States. You could be anything you want. You could be homeless or you could be a multi-millionaire. Doesn't matter. You chose what you chose. This says, we have just never been in the position where we have been asked to do something without appropriate protection ourselves. That is nonsense. That is nonsense. Again, had you not allowed China to trade with us, we would have been fine. But you didn't, because you are morons and you thought of nobody but the linings of your own pockets. This one here is about the antibody test. You know, obviously they're pushing for a vaccine. The flu shot doesn't fucking work, and this is supposedly worse than the flu, but yet we've lost less people in this currently than we did in the flu last year, and the that's right, drug overdoses. That's right. I believe the number last year was 72,000 Americans. Now you do the math on that, ladies and gentlemen. Let's do the math on that, shall we? It's 365 days, correct? So let's see what that is. 73,123 divided by 365. That's 200 people a day, ladies and gentlemen. 200 people a day last year died from drug overdoses. We didn't shut the fucking country down. In fact, it wasn't even mentioned except by our president, who said, we got to stop the drugs because this is nonsense. We're losing Americans every minute of every day. And you got fucking people out there pushing it, saying, oh, it's just weed, man. You people are fucking stupid. You're stupid. And meanwhile, people like us waste our time on you. It's amazing. Well, that's this one. Now let's see what the New York Times has to say today, shall we? Because while we're looking at fucking nonsense, NYT. So none of these folks care about what's really going on because they're so self-centered and fucking egotistical that it makes me sick to my stomach. Here's the New York Times today. New York Times, today's paper. There's the front page. It shows all these numbers. So let's see. Oil nations prodded by Trump reach deal and slash production. So I guess that's what they're doing. Hope and new life in Brooklyn maternity ward fighting COVID-19. Oh, cool. In a hospital at the center of the crisis, nearly 200 babies have arrived since March. God bless. They weren't aborted? Awesome. Some pregnant women have fallen extremely ill, but the doctors are winning the battles for their lives and their children's. God bless them. That's good news. Then this one here is, there will be losses. There will be losses. How a captain's plea exposed a rift in the military. This is about I'm assuming the Teddy Roosevelt coronavirus crisis aboard the carrier Teddy Roosevelt spurred another chapter in the hollowing out of the Navy's leadership, in particular under the Trump administration. Of course, we had to throw that in there, right, New York Times, because you're a bunch of fucking Chinese propagandist garbage reporters. Who's this by? Oh, of course, Thomas Gibson. Yeah. I bet you we follow your money, you're right back to the fucking Chinese Communist Party. How a premier U.S. drug company became a virus super spreader. Biogen employees unwittingly spread the coronavirus from Massachusetts to Indiana, Tennessee, and North Carolina. What? That's Farrah Stockman. Let's see what she's up to. We should look her up. So this is the front page of the New York Times, ladies and gentlemen. This is the front page. This is unbelievably misleading. And unfortunately, the people that read it are so fucking stupid that they'll buy right into it. We didn't want to say under this maternity ward thing in Brooklyn that 900 babies are aborted every day by Planned Parenthood. And those babies are mostly minorities. Those are the numbers. Those numbers don't lie. So I guess my question is, who's to blame for all this? Who do we blame for this? Because my generation didn't vote to close all the mental institutions. My generation didn't vote to have China take over our production. And my generation certainly didn't vote to go to war in Iraq and Afghanistan. And I was appalled that we went in to Libya to take out Gaddafi, because that administration, that regime, actually fought terrorism. And that was only because Reagan had some guts back in the 80s, and he took out, I think, 7 of Gaddafi's kids after Gaddafi took the blame for taking down that flight over Lockerbie, Scotland, which most of you don't remember because, well, you've cooked your brains, so that's fine. So I guess my question is then, what do we do now? Where do we go from here? We've got food shortages happening. You've got a pork processing plant in Iowa that has I think it was Duluth, Iowa. I think it was Duluth, somewhere. I heard about it today. They shut down because everybody there is sick. You have farmers plowing fresh fruits and vegetables back into the field because nobody will come pick them up. And yet, here we sit, unable to work. You've just put my generation and the next 3 generations into an unbelievable amount of debt. $2 trillion more on top of what we already owed, which was, what, $24 trillion. What are you doing? I mean, I understand that you're trying to do the best you're supposed to do here, but what do we do about this? What do we do about this? You've got governors in certain states not allowing you to go to your neighbor's home, even though none of you are sick. I believe that's a violation of your freedom of movement, which is guaranteed constitutional right, but I guess, that doesn't matter because, the virus. You've got gangs of motorcycles and ATVs ripping through the streets of New York like it's free-for-all day. Well, and that could probably be because you've got a fucking pothead as a mayor. By the way, guys, you don't elect somebody with the words duh and blah in his name. His name is de Blasio. By the way, his name is really Wilhelm, as in the Wilhelm that worked under the former Chancellor of Germany back in World War II. Do your research. He's his grandson. But none of you want to see that because most of you would rather just get baked all day and sit around with your dicks in your hands. And that's fine. You can do that. But don't blame anybody else for your problems. Take some responsibility. I know people that'll blame Democrats all day long. Hey, dude, wasn't my generation. My generation didn't sell all the fucking, all the manufacturing over to China. My generation didn't allow manufacturers to go to China to use slave labor. By the way, Tim Cook, all these people with Apple phones, you're fucking supporting slave child 30 cents a day, ladies and gentlemen. Think about that, 30 cents a day. But yet, you'll listen to the New York Times and the Post and the Daily News, and you'll watch CNN all day, and you don't care because you're a bunch of retards. Okay? You can have all the college degree you want. You don't have the sense God gave a dog. You've done no research at all. You hear what's said and you don't look it up, and you listen to the same people every day. You don't even realize those people are fucking shills. You were warned about this. You were warned about what was coming. You were warned by William Cooper. You were warned by Bill Hicks, George Carlin. You were warned by another guy from Band.video. You were warned by these people. Everyone screamed. Dr. Peter Boyle, who's not allowed to go on any mainstream media ever again because of what he said after 9/11. He told the people they weren't dying from lung cancer. They were dying from another kind of cancer. Screen went black, and he was pulled off of every network. Why? Because the truth gets out. You had William Cooper called 9/11 on June 28th, 2001. Hell, the guy who came up with the show The Lone Gunman, the first pilot episode, was Scenario 12D. It involved airline terror. Wow. Nobody can think, huh? That's right. Because most people out there are sheeple. They either live at home in their late 30s and early 40s, or they didn't get out of their houses till the mid-30s. That's embarrassing. That's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. The fact that people wanted to live home that long, or were offered to live home that long, no. First time I left home, I was 18. Second time, I was 21. There was no third time because my parents were dead 2 years later. I don't want to hear your nonsense. I don't want to hear your nonsense. Y'all are stupid. You don't believe anything that is outside of the norm because you're afraid that if it's true, what else have you been believing that's a lie? You folks are sheeple. And when they get you stampeding, right over the edge. And you're not even going to realize it because you're not going to stop and say, hold on, what the fuck am I running from? You're just going to keep running. Those are the two stories today, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys wake up real soon, because if you don't, we're going down the way of Venezuela. By the way, if you want to see something hysterical, you should look up a gentleman by the name of John Ward. He is just hysterical. And the video is cruise ship ends Venezuelan Navy's career. It's hysterical. He's very funny. Either way, enjoy your afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is raining cats and dogs here. Very windy. In the communist socialist state of NJ, next to one of the largest outbreaks in the United States. I'm just glad I'm not dead from it. And I hope everybody had a good Easter. God bless. And if I see anything else funny enough, I'll throw it on. Take care.